Give me 1 second. Yeah, so we were doing the chapter 18 and we have had a bit of a gap. So we would do a very quick rehash of what we had done earlier as we move forward to the verse number 4 of the chapter 18 of the Bhagavad Gita. Now, in this context, this is a dialogue. In the chapter 18, Bhagavan will try to kind of summarize virtually everything that he has taught Arjuna as a student, and he'll be picking up ideas from different chapters and putting them in a context to make them more relevant. Because here comes a moment after a long dialogue with Arjuna where Arjuna has to kind of take a decision as to what he wants to do now in the warfield. He had a strong moral upheaval in him, a bit of an emotional turmoil, and he didn't want to fight with his own relatives and his teachers. And Bhagavan took note of it and he explained to him each aspect of this moral dilemma that he was facing and putting in context the meaning of action, why we do it, for purification of our minds, in order for enabling it to meditate on higher truths, the Brahman, which is not easy to do unless it's very pure and clean, and therefore he has given him long lectures on different aspects of sadhana. In the previous two chapters, at length he has mentioned about what are the ways in which people connect with the divine. And these are also divided into sattvika, rajasika, and tamasika. And yajna, dana, tapas, all these spiritual practices we do can also be divided, categorized into three types, depending on why we are doing it, what is the purpose, and what is the mental frame with which we take it up and we practice and perform it. Now, Arjuna is having a doubt whether even sannyasa can be similarly categorized into three kinds, and if so, he would like to learn it from the mouth of the Lord Himself. And therefore, he's asking, Sannyasasya mahavaho tattvamichhami veditum. I would like to know about sannyasa. I want to know the tattva. What is the tattva of sannyasa? What is the yathartha jnana, yathartha rupa, shurupa of sannyasa? Tattvam ichhami veditum. I want to know it. I want to understand it. Tyagasya cha hrishikesa prathakesi nishudana. And also I want to know whether the act of sacrifice, the act of renunciation, can also be categorized into three types, because you told me that even bhakti and shraddha, yajna, tapas, dana, all that we do, even tapas you have divided into three types. It gives me enough reasons to have some confusion and doubts whether even sannyasa and tyaga can be categorized as such. And the reason for him to ask this question is understandable. Bhagavan has used the word sannyasa in different ways earlier. He has referred to the karma yogi as a nitya sannyasi, that you do not have to drop all your activities, but you have to basically get rid of your attachment to the results of your actions. You do the activities, but if you can do that without having craving for good results, if your mind is free from cravings, that even if you do these actions, you are a nitya sannyasi, you are a visishta. On the other hand, if you run away from what you are doing, but you have full of craving inside, you are a mithyachara. That he had clarified earlier. And then he has also mentioned that sarvakarma sannyasa is meant for a very few people. That also he has clarified. But he seems to have again and again mentioned that the secret of successful commitment of any action that we undertake is twofold. One, we shall not crave for the results, and number two, we shall all the time abide in the Lord. We shall surrender to the Lord, be aware of the ultimate truth of our existence. If we have this Swarupa Jnana and this Upasana Bhava, Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, then any activities we do shall not bind us. And therefore, karma will not become bondage. That he has mentioned earlier. Now, Arjuna is having some doubts, which is uncalled for. Bhagavan has already clarified it. But as you know, Bhagavan in Bhagavad Gita is using Arjuna as a representative of humanity. And therefore, sometimes he will make Arjuna ask questions which may or may not be very important for Arjuna as an individual, but the questions which may be very relevant from the point of view of many householders, many sansaris in the classroom of Bhagavan, which is whole of sansara, whole of Jagat. So many questions may arise, and these are taken into the text. They are raised as doubts and they are answered through the words of the Lord. So he wants to know whether sannyasa and tyaga are essentially one, but he is having doubts whether they are different. I want to know whether tyagas are of different kinds, sannyasis or is also of different types. So please explain all that to me. एतादृश अंतकरण शुद्ध्यर्थम अविद्वत् कर्म अधिकारी कर्तकस्य संन्यासस्य केनचित् रूपेण कर्म त्यागस्य तत्त्वं स्वरूपं पृथक् सात्विक राजस तामस भेदेन वेदितुम् इच्छामि. So he's talking about those people who are essentially the Karmadhikaris, means they are not yet ready for Jnana Yoga. They are not ready to sit in the libraries and meditate on the Vedantic messages. And it's like, some people do an engineering degree and get into the market and become technocrats. But some of them go back to the university, do a PhD, and indulge in higher research. They love that, but everybody may not be ready for it. So he wants to know which way you will discuss this karma tyaga. So first tell me the swarupa of both sannyasa and tyaga. There's a bit of an academic discussion. We will try to touch upon it because we have done it. So now the second doubt is whether sannyasa and tyaga are having two different objects in mind. So what is the vachya and avachaka? What is vachaka? The sabda is vachaka. Vachya is the artha, whatever is referred to is the vachya. When we are using these two words, sannyasa and tyaga, are we having two different entities in mind or one and the same thing? That is the doubt here. So he's saying whether they are of one class of things or they are different things. They are actually one, there's no problem, but he has some doubt, and therefore he's explaining and he's referring to Bhagavan as Mahavahu Keshi Nishudana. And you know what is Keshi Nishudana? There was this demon who ran to fight with him, and it's described in one of the Puranas, who had the face of a horse, and the horse is, long faces, and then he was chasing at him, charging at him. Bhagavan gets hold of him and he kind of breaks his head as if he's, sort of breaking a cucumber with his hands. And that's why he's Mahavahu. And there is a bit of academic discussion as to why Mahavahu, once you are saying the all powerful, why are you again referring to him as Keshi Nishudana? The academic discussion that we had touched upon in the last class was that there is something called Swarupa Yogyata, and then the other word, technical thing is called Phala Upadhayaka Yogyata. So you have clay, you can make a pot of it. Then once you have treated that clay with some cotton, those who are making, if you go to Bengal during Durga Puja, you will see that they first use some red soil or red clay, mix that with, the uh, rice bran and stuff like that, and then they will use that to give the basic form of the Devi. Then they will use black soil, clay, black clay, and they mix it with a lot of cotton. Why? So that it will not split. They work on the finer aspects. They use that specially treated clay where cotton is mixed to put into frames to make those sharp featured, beautiful faces of the mother. They carve out the ornaments, the fingers, the fingernails, the nose, the ears, everything with that particular well treated soil. So one soil per se has Swarupa Yogyata. It can be used. But once you have treated it, it has Phala Upadhyayaka Yogyata. So it's like you have a tree, it has wood, you can make anything, but unless it has been seasoned, you cannot use that wood for making very good furniture, right? Similarly, this Keshi Nishudana refers to a specific powerful, manifestation of a special power of Bhagavan, Mahabahu, the general power of Bhagavan. That is an academic point which is being mentioned here. Now, when these questions are raised, Bhagavan is responding in the verse number 2. And what is Bhagavan saying? Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Kamyanam Karmanam Nyasam Sanyasam Kavayo Viduhu Sarvakarma Phalatyagam Prahustyagam Vichakshanaha. Kamyanam Karmanam Nyasam. Sannyasa is renunciation of Kamya karmas. How many kinds of karmas are there? We have discussed that earlier, isn't it? So there are 3, 4 ways in which we can have discussions on karma. One is the Sanchita karma, Prarabdha karma, and Agami karma or Kriyamana karma. Sanchita is the millions and millions of words, the whole hard disk of all the impressions. And then you have the RAM or the Prarabdha karma. This is the karma which has matured and it's responsible for the mind we have, the body we have, the job we have, and everything. Agami karma, or is the karma which is accumulating now as a result of what we do now. We have no control over Sanchita karma or Prarabdha karma, that is past, right? We cannot do much about Prarabdha karma. Only through Bhoga it will be destroyed. Sanchita karma can be destroyed with Jnana. Okay? And Agami karma can also be destroyed with Jnana. Why? Once you know you are a pure soul, you do not have any fear of being attached to the karmas of future, and you have no binding relationship with karmas of the many last lives. Only karma which has already matured, you have encashed it, that is Prarabdha karma. It has started to give results, and therefore we have to pass through the cycle of enjoying them or suffering them. Now, the Kriyamana karma or Agami karma, whatever, we can still split it into different categories. One is what is called Nitya karma, or what is something will not give you any specific result, but if we don't do it, we will suffer what is known as Pratyavaya. So there'll be some punishment, like not being punctual gets you punishment, but no necessary rewards. But it is a sahayaka, it's useful for having that. These are nitya karmas, like taking up a bath and praying and offering water to the sun or meditating and doing your daily household chores, everything that we do. Then we have what is called naimitika karmas for specific purposes, which are associated with specific events. There is a specific cause as to why we do them. And there is something called prayaschita karma because of some misdeeds which gives us a sleepless nights. So that is prayaschita karma. Inability to attain a function of a friend, you apologize. Similarly, you do prayaschita karmas. And there are kamya karmas, like you want to have a house and a car, you want to go to heaven. So there will be a set of karmas. Here he's saying kamyanam karmanam nyasam sannyasam kavayo viduhu. So that's one definition Bhagavan is giving. What does that mean? That even if you become a sannyasi or anything, you must continue to do your nitya karmas. Okay, that is the important thing. you will continue to do your nitya karmas. And if you are, but the kamya karma, because prayasita is also included there, so you shall not do these kamya karmas. That is what is, or naimittika is included there, maybe. Maybe naimittikas you can also do, but kamya karmas you shall not do. That is what is kavayaha. Who is a kavi? Kavi is an expert in the shastras, not a poet here. Whereas there are other experts, vichakshanaha, vichara kushalaha, those who are experts in analysis of these aspects. What do they say? Sarva karma phalatyagam. That you should continue to do all the activities. There's not a problem. Sarva karma tyaga, no. Sarva karma phalatyaga. There's a big difference. Sarva karma tyaga is the abandonment of all the actions. Sarva karma phalatyaga means renouncing craving for results of the actions you have to do. What does it mean? So there are other experts who believe that you should also do the kamya karmas. What are the kamya karmas? Like Dasapurnamasa, Agnihotra, all the pujas and karmas, you can also do it. So this is the other category of people. You might say Bhagavan is trying to confuse Arjuna. Why should a person do kamya karma? Why should he build a house? Why should he do any particular puja, anything? Bhagavan says, look here, do you know one thing? Tam etam vedan vachanena brahmana vividishanti yajnena danena tapasa anasakena. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it's mentioned that in order to know the Brahman, Brahmanaha vividishanti, they try to know. This is jnana sadhana. This karma is jnana sadhana. How do they know? They, while trying to know, they do this yajna tam etam vedanu that is the brahmachari life, right? So you have vedanu you do the Veda Abhyasa and studies and all. Brahmana vividisanti, and then grihasthas also taken into account. How do they do it? Jagyena danena. So they will do jagya and dana because they have money. They have agricultural activities, commercial activities, and they have a wife which is necessary for doing any ritual karmas. And tapasa anasakena, and tapasya and having fasting and other kinds of things, who can do it? Debana prasthis, they've completed their grihastha ashram, slowly withdrawing. So you can do all the karmas, including both nitya and kamya karmas. But how? Not taking into consideration any aspiration or desire or craving for results thereof. And why should you do it? No, just for purification of the mind. Because if you don't do it, you'll become lazy, you'll become a tamasic person, and then the mind will travel downwards in the direction of poor quality desires, poor quality interest in the world. It may be in some kind of lazy games, like a lot of people who retire, they play some cards, or some people play bridge or carom or cricket or anything, you can play with your phone, you can do some nonsensical time killing activities. Therefore, it's much better to do these ritual activities. As could be, some people pick up very good activities like gardening, reading books, trekking, and going to some, doing tirthas and stuff like that. These are all important. So he's saying, Banaprastha dharmasya nityasya nityani vipapakshena dvarena atmajnanarthatvam bodhyate. Right? And then somebody might, there is a bit of an academic point, not very important. I'm just touching upon it before we move forward. Is saying, why is this statement mentioned? Because Bhagavan has mentioned it many places that जब पाप क्षय हो जाता है तो पुण्य कर्म में आग्रह होता है. So why should one do these activities anymore? One should target papakshaya through prayashchita karma, isn't it? So why have you given this advice? Jagyena danena tapasa anasakena. He's saying not a problem. We know that when there is papakshaya, when interest in good activities happen only when there is punya. पुण्य किया हो तभी ज़्यादा पुण्य करने में मन लगता है. A person who earns a little money, a working class person, in the evening goes and drinks because he doesn't have a habit of saving. He makes maybe 500 rupees and then he buys some vegetables for children, saves about 150 or 200 for himself to blow it. That's what gives him pleasure. He knows it's self destructive. Why? The same guy, if you give him some property or give him some seed money to start some small saving practice, he turns out to be a person with a better savings habit. Same way, if we do some punya karma, then the tendency to do more good activities will be there. Out of nothing, I mean, I think recently I was talking to a guy who's a very good student, and he was saying that I'm unable to sort of concentrate on my studies. And I said, the simple thing that while you're going to sleep, you study for half an hour and start some chapter for the next day, then go to sleep. It's much easier to start from there. If you go to sleep and say that I'll start it next day, it's very difficult. So, if we do some punya karmas, the chances of our mind getting inclined to do more punya karma, more spiritual activities is better. So, today we could not do any meditation, lot of wrong conversation, lot of wrong friends, wrong engagements. Okay, not a problem. Go give yourself a very warm wash before bed and sit on the bed for 10 minutes. Take the holy name. Good enough for the day. Because you are setting a note for the next morning, and that is wonderful. Whatever you did, that is over, but you do a bit of punya karma to set the tone for the next morning. It works. Similarly, Bhagavan says that this vinyoga, this description of a particular law which is mentioned, it's not irrelevant because that gives your mind a certainty that you should do it for purification of the mind. Then the mind is ready for further studies of the intellectual spiritual text as we make progress. There is also another academic point. You know what? There's something called, as I was discussing, something called a rule of Sanyoga Prathakvam. The example is very simple. You are buying ghee, right? And what is ghee? A purified butter required for? You need some ghee for burning the lamp in the evenings, or ghee for making some recipes. Put it in rice when you're taking it, or put a bit of purified butter on the chapati or bread you are eating. You use butter. Similarly, you might have it as a bit, to sort of use it as a element to dress or to spread it on your bread that you're having. But what if it's actually next day there is a special puja? Now Saraswati Puja is coming on 4th or 5th of February. So you need to do a panchamritam. You have some milk and you put some curd, you put some purified butter, put some honey and put some sugar. That is panchamritam. Now the same ghee is also required for this auspicious ritual that you have to do. The same ghee, which is used for certain common purposes, also serves a special purpose. Please be aware of the simple logic. Certain simple usable things may serve certain special purpose. Same way, these karmas or these nitya karmas or kame karmas may give you swarga prapti and this and that, but here, when you do it without phalabhisandhi, without craving for results, keeping in mind the spiritual aspiration that you are cleansing your consciousness to prepare it to focus on higher secrets of the Upanishadic Shastras. The same karma, which is generally meant to take you to Swarga or give you sons or land or money, you drop all that, but you focus on the spiritual purpose and also enhance your consciousness. You can try it yourself. So any puja which is happening anytime, you sit there. You may not be doing it. The mantras are being chanted. There are two purposes. You're doing it for a special purpose. But at the same time, when you say, no, I'm doing it to connect with God, you might experience a very subtle spiritual psychological experience. This is nothing mysterious. You can watch yourself. That happens. Similarly, Bhagavan says that this argument is that even though these karmas are mentioned in Vedas as vehicles for taking us to certain material benefits, material felicity, the same thing, if we can dissociate and we try to concentrate on them, they can also sort of give us a higher felicity. That is a capacity to meditate on the Vedantic secrets. Now we'll go to the verse number 3. He's now discussing about the difficulty of understanding the difference between Tyaga and Sannyasa. Tyajyam dosavadityeke karma prahurmanishinaha yajna dana tapaha karma na tajam iti chapare. So again, he's distinguishing that there are two categories of scholars, two categories of experts on this particular matter. Some people say that you should do sarva karma tyaga. Karma tyaga, remember, not karma phala tyaga. Earlier verse said karma phala tyaga is tyaga. You can do the karma. Don't focus on the results. Don't upset your family, your wife, your children by not doing anything. Do it, but don't put your heart there. That is one, that is tyaga. But he's saying, but there are certain people who are experts who are saying, Tyajyam doshavad ityeke. All karmas have some dosha, some insufficiency, some limitation. Why? Some raga dvesha will come, there'll be a hankara, and you are caught up in that, and therefore one shouldn't do it. Because these are tyajyam, the way we dump raga dvesha, we should also dump activities. Who are the people who do it? The Vividisa sannyasis. So they do some work and they get tired. They want to study the Upanishads and Vedas. They say, no, I don't want to do a job. It's taking a long time of my life. So I want to study. So they may become consultants. They may work less hours and find more time. And finally, ultimately, when they have good savings, they might drop work altogether. And there are other people who says, no, 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 no. Don't try to drop all your activities. Are you foolish? Why am I foolish? No. The Shastra says, Yajna dana tapaha karma, na tajyam iti cha pare. Some people say no. You should never do tyaga of yajna dana tapaha karma. All these are apparently kamya karmas. Don't stop doing these activities because they have a lot of spiritual significance. They purify your antakaranas. Okay? So that is so. What do you do it then? Some people say, I will take a Vividisa sannyasa, cannot do the karmas. I can do it for a while, but slowly I will lose interest. Some people say, no, no, you should not drop it. You can study the Upanishads, do whatever, but you try to continue to do this. And Bhagavan is now explaining in the next verse. In the verse number 4, we'll try to pay a little more attention to this. निश्चयं शृणु मे तत्र त्यागे भरतसत्तमा त्यागो हि पुरुष व्याघ्र त्रिविधः सम्प्रकृतितः. Okay, know for sure, my boy. Please know it. Pay attention to it. Tatra tyage. And in that discussion on tyaga, my dear friend, Bharata Sattama. So you are the greatest. And he's explaining you are from a great dynasty, a pedigree, and you yourself is a pure soul. And please pay attention to what I say. I'm giving you some definite understanding. Hey Purusha Vyakra, you are like a tiger amongst men, very brave, courageous person. Bhagavan is compassionate. He plays with our emotions. Same Lord Krishna, just a little while ago, referred to Arjuna is what? You are behaving like an important person. Why are you so panicky? Why didn't you take up your sword? Why don't you behave like a Kshatriya? He was doing it, only a few chapters behind. Now he's referring to him, hey Purusha Vyagra. And that is how our parents all the time behave with us. Parents, teachers, gurus, acharyas, Bhagavan, they play with us. And we shouldn't feel bad because it's out of deep concern and love for us. Sometimes the father or mother shouts at us. Sometimes they're compassionate. They'll shout at us, and when we get angry, we refuse dinner. And then you remember your childhood, your mother will say, no, no, please come and eat. And if you don't eat, I don't eat. All kinds of drama, right? So, He Purusha Vyagra, Trividaha Samprakrtitaha. So, this Tyaga is of three kinds. So, Bhagavan seems to be sort of clarifying to Arjuna, yes, you had rightly asked this question that it can also be divided into three types, and that he will explain. Why Tyaga is Sarva Karma Tyaga? Then I will explain. The commentary here explains why it is so. This, the person who is a Sarva Karma Tyagi, who is a Sattvika person, who is already a Tattvavid, who has lost interest in the Sansara, he is a Samadhamadi Satka Sampati Sampanna Vedanta Agrahi. That fellow is different because Bhagavan had earlier advised try to be Gunatita. So he'll become Gunatita. How will you categorize Tyaga then? No, he's not talking about those people. He's talking about people who are Guhastas, who are still in Sansara, and they are thinking what to drop, what to keep. क्या करना चाहिए क्या नहीं करना चाहिए. It is for those people who are stuck in the middle. This chapter is explaining about three types of sannyasas or tyagas. Not for that guy who's completely lost interest in the world, he has completed his karmas, he's completely a vairagi. No, it's not for him, it's for Arjuna. Arjuna is a representative of the general population which is in need of spiritual counsel of Bhagavan, and this population is not at the same level of spiritual aspiration or curiosity or capacity or potential. So, depending on where a certain bhakta is standing, Bhagavan is giving an advice in one book for hundreds types of devotees and bhaktas, and therefore he is giving different kinds of advices, which may appear a little contradictory, but actually would make sense if we put them in the larger context of answers as for problems, responses as for needs. And therefore, there is an element of nice proportionality between the desire, the demand, the potential, and the answer which is given by Bhagavan. So there is no real contradiction or conflict. So Bhagavan is explaining. So we will do this commentary quickly. We have enough time, I suppose. Yes, 25 minutes. We should be able to finish the commentary of the verse number 4. तत्र त्वया पृष्ठे कर्माधिकार कर्तृके संन्यास त्याग शब्दाभ्याम प्रतिपादिते त्यागे फलाभिसंधि पूर्वक कर्म त्यागे मे मम वचनात् निश्चयं पूर्वाचार्यैः कृतं शृणु हे भरत सत्तमा. Say here, Arjuna, you are asking this question from the point of view of the karmadhikaris. So there are two words, sannyasa and tyaga, and I have clarified what they mean. Phalabhisandhi purvaka karma tyage. That is my mata. What is tyaga? Phalabhisandhi purvaka karma tyaga. So phalabhisandhi purvaka karma. Not all karma. Nishkama karma you do. Phalabhisandhi purvaka karma means work with a craving for result. That renunciation is sannyasa or tyaga. That's what is my view. Vachana nishyam purvacharyehi kritam shuname bharata sarva. You please listen, that has been clarified. King tatra durgeyam asti ityatah ah. But उसमें समझने वाली क्या बात है? What is there to understand? He Purusha Vyagra, Purusha Shrestha, you are the illustrious one amongst all men. He Yasmat Yagaha, Karmadhikarika Kartrika, Karmadhikari Kartrikaha, Phala Visandhi Purvaka Karma Tyagaha, Trividaha, Tisra Prakaraha, Tamasadi Bhedena Samprakritidaha. So this Karma Visandhi Purvaka Karma Tyaga, Phala Tyaga, that can be categorized. Some people, I mean, we will do that. How it is Sattvika, Tamasika, Rajasika, beautifully he'll explain one by one. So it can be divided into three. I'll explain to you, oh my boy. Athava Visishta Bhava, Visishta Bhava Rupa Tyago, Vishishana Bhavat, Visheshya Bhavat, Ubhaya Bhava Chatrividha Samprakritah. Now this is, he is bringing in some Nyaya philosophy here. When you say there is a abhava of something in Tarka Sangraha, when you study the Nyaya, the basic nomenclature, this basic nomenclature of Indian logic, he's saying if you're talking about abhava, this abhava is what? Absence of a pen. Okay. There's a red pen here. So you can have a pen but without redness. So that is also a pen with the absence of the red color. That is also one kind of abhava. You may have a red color in this is a red color, but the pen isn't there. So the red is the adjective, Visheshana Abhava, redness, the pinkness of this pen. And this is a pink pen and the absence of the Visheshana, that is one kind of absence. Another is absence of Visheshya or the noun, the pen. You may have red color, but you don't have the pen. You may have a red, you know, shawl or anything, but that is Visheshya Abhava. Then Ubhaya Prayukta Bhavaha, Visheshana Prayukta Bhavaha, and then you have this Visheshya, and then you have Ubhaya Abhavaha, Visheshana and Visheshya. Neither the pinkness is there, nor the pen is there, so the pink pen is not there. So he is now categorizing, making it a little academic, nothing to get frightened. We'll move forward. So tathahi फलाभिसंधि पूर्वक कर्म त्याग सत्यपि कर्मणि फलाभिसंधि त्यागात एकः. Now he's explaining what is Visheshana Bhavaha. So you are continuing to do work. You are a grihastha, you have children, you have wife, you have responsibilities, so you are doing your work. Not a problem, absolutely. But you withdraw your craving. So you become Nitya Sannyasi. You become a Karma Sannyasi. You are doing karma. Karma is the Visheshya, the noun. So karma is there. The phala purvakata is not there. So this is a conditional withdrawal of your attention from your activities. You will do the work with attention, with concentration, with full commitment, without attachment, without ahankara. That is one sannyasa. That is one. Second. And he's saying this is sattvika. That is the greatest thing. Just imagine that it's like you must have seen that in some Hindi movies, right? I mean, generally, these kinds of funny things are there in Hindi movies. So what happens is that so there is a boy and a girl, they're in love or something. Okay, this is how Hindi movies go. And then what happens is that this boy, this one of them actually gets married as per the choice of their parents to some other family. And then there is one boy or the girl who becomes a martyr in that love story, and he still goes to that marriage function. He's serving dal and kheer and everything, this boy. And he's saying, okay, and then there'll be some background music, some song to make it interesting. Let's just think about it. So this is a very sattvic thing, isn't it? Because there's no involvement. He's doing everything. Or you think that you have already resigned from a company because of whatever reason. You resign and then you have a 3 months notice period. He's saying you cannot go, and you have already got a wonderful job somewhere, but you are making a presentation. You had a last client presentation to make, and the new guy isn't fully aware of what to do. And you say, no, I will handle this. And your manager who was troubling you is actually ashamed of himself or herself because you are making a wonderful presentation, defending your company and making your case very strong, and you wonderfully do it. Actually, you have nothing to gain out of it. You have tendered your resignation has been accepted, there's a notice period, or you're holding on because they'll block some of your PF or some salary components or some benefits. So you're doing those 3 months or few 6 weeks or whatever, and you do a wonderful presentation. You come back, you hand over your responsibility to the new guy, and you leave. With that last leg of it appears to be most illustrious. Why? Because there is no attachment, there is no craving. This is sattvika. So, like Janaka Maharshi, you can be where you are. You can do what you are doing, but you shall not impose your ego. You shall not impose your authority on anyone. You will let things happen without taking any credit for anything. That is sattvika sannyasa or tyaga. Tatra prathamah sattvika adeyah. Dityastu heyo dvividaha. The second one is of two kinds. How is that? He is also explaining it. Dukkha buddhya krita rajasah viparyasena kritah tamasah. You are doing that work. Palavisandhiraitena. But you're doing that work. Karto rahe. And then tyaga you are doing it. नहीं हमको नहीं करना है बहुत तकलीफ. If I do this particular yajna, I do this, it's going to take hell of a lot of my time. I cannot do it. I'm sorry. I cannot take this pain. It's going to be too much. Sorry, sir. You try to do it. Find somebody else to make that presentation. I have done my job. I have handed over my charges, everything. That is Rajasika Tyaga. That is, I cannot do it. I cannot take it anymore. My system doesn't take it. That kind of an approach. Finally, Viparyasena Kritaha Tamashaha. You're supposed to do it. There's a beautifulness, but you see, हमें करने से क्या हो जाएगा? Who is going to clap? Why should I do it? A lot of people say, why study so hard? So if I become a person scoring 95% or there's some job waiting for me, so many people jobless. That's how the common, that's the main argument of many college students these days. And they don't want to put extra work. They say, end of the day, you just have to have a degree and run around for a job. Studying extra, you gain nothing. That is tamasaha. It's kind of moved. That sort of a move is kind of moved by darkness, ignorance. Etavan karmatikari kartrika tyaga arjunasya prashna vishayaha. So this is the actual question that some people do tyaga. He himself was trying to do that kind of a tyaga, isn't it? He wanted to run away. So this is what Arjuna is asking. But there is a tritiya kind of sannyasa, where phala visandhi tyaga is there and karma tyaga is there, both. But who is that guy? He's a Bidvat sannyasi. Arjuna has not reached there. So it's about the nirguna, it's completely going beyond the play of the guna, sattva, tama, and rajas. Tritiyastu karma anadhikarikattuko naigunya rupa na Arjuna prashna vishayaha. Arjuna cannot ask that question because this one is slightly superior. It's talking about something else. Sopi sadhana phalabhedena dvividhaha. And the sadhana and the phalabhedena, that also can be of two kinds. That kind of sannyasa. One is vidvat sannyasa and one is vividisa sannyasa. What is vividisa and what is vidvat, we will deal with it. Tatra satvikena phalabhisandhi tyaga purvaka karmanusthana rupena tyagena suddha antakarnasya utpanna vividisasya atmajnana sadhana श्रवणाख्य वेदांत विचाराय फलाभिसंधि रहितस्य अंतकरण शुद्धो सत्यां तत्साधनस्य कर्मणो वैतुष्य जाते इव अवहननस्य परित्यागः. Very long question, long statement, but it's very easy to understand. There's nothing. He's saying tatra satvikena, having that sattvika property, a certain good approach you have, okay. And then what do you do? Phala visandhi tyaga purvaka. Craving for the result of the activity you are doing, you want to abandon it, you are not doing it. Karma anusthana rupena, but continue to do the activity tyagena. That kind of tyaga, karma tyaga you are not doing. The phala visandhi tyaga you are doing. You are renouncing the desire for results, but you continue to do work. And why are you doing Suddha Antakaranasya Utpanna Vividisasya? You have, then slowly what happens? You have this Vairagya in you or Vividisa, Veditumicha. You want to do Vedanta Chintana. Atma Jnana Sadhana. And then desire ho gaya, you have aspiration to know Vedanta. Then what will you do? You want to study. So what is that Atma Jnana Sadhana? Sravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. So Atma Jnana Sadhana is to listen to the text, understand, make sense of it, and then meditate on them. So Vedanta Vicharaya Phalabhisandhi Rahitasya. So you don't have any craving for the results. काम तो कर रहे हैं. कर्णस्य अंतकरण शुद्धो सत्याम. जब दिल साफ हो जाए, when the mind is clean enough and you are ready for taking a plunge into the scholarly Vedantic texts, tasadhanasya karmana vaituchedata. Then it's like you have rice and rice bran, and then you are doing abahanana. You are trying to remove the chaff. Then once you have, when you are doing the hammering, whatever, those sledge hammers and other things the villagers you're using, and when this is all removed and the white rice is visible, do you go on hammering it anymore? You don't do it. Same way, you are doing all the rituals and karmas, and there is a deep desire in you for studies now. Automatically, the rituals will fall of your attention. You will not be interested in them anymore. So they will stop. That is one kind of parityaga. Okay? So that is one tyaga. That is first. What is the second one? Sa ekah sadhana bhuta vividisa sannyasa uchyate. So that is sadhana bhuta. Like, for example, we have taken sannyasa, we are in Rishikesh to study Vedanta. We are not vidvat, we have not atmajnana. We are making efforts to study the text and reach there. This is vividisa sannyasa. And then there is vidvat sannyasa. What is that? So, tam agre naiskarma siddhim paramam iti vakhyati. So, finally, he will refer to that naiskarma siddhim paramam. There is a verse number 1849 ahead of us. Dityastu, second one. Dityastu janmantara krita sadhana abhyasa paripakat. Already you have done a lot of sadhanas in the last birth. Swami Vivekananda was the eldest son of the family, and there was a lot of economic hardship. His father suddenly passed away, and there were a lot of people who were trying to trap him into a marital relationship, promising money. And this boy, at about 19, 20, 21, 22, he sort of took sannyas from Thakur. He could have gone and done a job, isn't it? He was very attractive, was eloquent, great speaker. A lot of other people took civil service examinations and did some politics, did some academics. Why he did not do anything? He was offered professorship at Harvard at the age of 26 or 27. He refused it. He said, "No, I'm a sannyasi. I'm not supposed to be here." So he didn't have any craving for all this. Why? Because he had already done all that in the previous life. He had Suddha Antakarna, no more craving left, neither for marriage, nor for relationship, nor for job, nor for attention. He didn't have any craving for any of these. So, about those people, he's saying, Dityastu Janmandara Krita Sadhana Abhyasa Paripaka. Already those desires have matured. You have done those abhyasas. Asimene Janmani, in this life, Adau Eva Utpanna Atma Bodhasya. मने मन आत्मबोध लाइक वामदेव गर्भ से पैदा हुए निकल गए माँ मैं चला where oh I'm liberated what do you mean where I just had a bit of karma because of which I had to connect with you as son. The role is over, mother, I'm going. So atmabodhasya kritakrityasya, he has done whatever was supposed to be done. Swatah eva phalavisandehe karmanasya parityagaha phalabhutaha. That parityaga, remember, is not sadhana bhuta, it's phala bhuta. Remember, there is two words here. One is sadhana, the other one is phala. Sadhana, for us, we are making effort to graduate to a higher level of self-realization. So maybe you study, you did a job or whatever. But there are children who are born and they leave everything and take a sannyasa. I met a boy who was barely 13 or 14 from Rajasthan. And I said, and he is dressed up, he has taken sannyasa here, Kailash ashram to study. I looked at him, young boy, just barely 40. You should be playing cricket. And I said, he said, नहीं महाराज अच्छा नहीं लगा घर छोड़ दिया. I said, you took sannyas? He said, yes. अब क्या करने का मन है? ना कुछ मन नहीं कर रहा है, मुझे थोड़ा अभी व्याकरण पढ़ लेना है. Just imagine. And it was absolutely clear this boy is definitely privileged with a wisdom which he inherits from the previous birth. He doesn't have a conflicted, confused mind or restless mind like many other boys of his age. He's barely 14 and a half, 15. I met him a few years back. I don't know where he is. He bright soul. So he's saying this is phalabhuta sannyasa. This sannyasa is a fruition of the sadhana which one has done in the previous lives. पहले किए हुए जो साधना है उसके फल है ये संन्यास. और किन किनों के मामले में ये भी विदिशा साधन भूत संन्यास लेकर फिर पढ़ाई करेंगे. दैट इज साधन भूत. फॉर सम पीपल संन्यास इज ए साधना, इज ए मीन्स फॉर taking up a long journey, and some people that is the end result because they have completed the journey. Phalabhutah sa vidvat sannyasa iti uchyate. That is vidvat sannyasa. They don't have to wear this awkward clothes or anything. You look at Swami Nigamananda, Paramahamsa, he towards the end of his life he was wearing white clothes and chewing pan and wearing yasmin garlands and moving around in Puri, having fun. He was a Vidva sannyasi. He didn't have to abide by the laws and regulations. He was Atmagyan. In there are so many cases. Thakur did not take formal sannyas from anyone. He was in white clothes for the most part of his life. But they don't need these things. This is like Ramana Maharshi did not take sannyasa from anyone. He was in white clothes till the very end of his life. These are all Atmagyanis. They are Vidva sannyasis. Okay? स तु यस्तु आत्मरतिरेव स्याद इत्यादि श्लोकाभ्याम प्राग व्याख्यातः. I have explained to you all that, talking about that these are atmaratah. They are doing this. स्थित प्रज्ञ लक्षणादिविश्य बहुधा प्रपंचितः. स्थित प्रज्ञस्य क्या भाषा? When you ask that question, I had mentioned to you how these people behave like they are like a tortoise withdrawing the limbs and all the time lost in their atmagyana. We have already discussed that at length in the chapter 2 in the last 10-15 verses. Yasmad evam tyagasya tattvam durgeyam tvaya cha uktam satvam veditum ichchami iti. इसलिए कि आपने कहा कि आप हमसे सुनना चाहते हो त्याग का स्वरूप, अतः सुनिए. अतो मम सर्वज्ञस्य वचनात्, तो मेरे भाषा से मेरे मुंह से अब सुनिए. विद्धि इति अभिप्रायः. विद्धि मीन समझो, जानो. संबोधन द्वयन कुल निमित्त उत्कर्षः पौरुष निमित्त उत्कर्षः. So this utkarsha, excellence of two kinds. It refers to him as Purusha Vyaghra, and then he's talking about Bharata Sattama. So one is Kula Nimitta as a result of his pedigree, and then his Paurusha Nimitta Utkasascha Yogyada Atisaya Suchanaya Uktaha. So Bhagavan has mentioned that in order to mention the greatness of Arjuna as a student, and that is how we have completed the verse number 4, and we'll make quick progress tomorrow onwards from the verse number 5. Do you have any questions? One or two we can take, or otherwise we'll do the Santi mantras.